Hey ya! Today, today we're gonna make a fun, free-form statement piece ring. You ready? If you like these kind of jewelry how-to DIY type videos, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I'll make sure that all my videos are tucked into little playlists so you can find the videos that you're looking for. Let's get started. To make our ring, here's what we'll need today. An 18 to 20 inch piece of 18 gauge copper wire, some side nippers, your favorite pliers, a ring mandrel, and the stone that you want to wrap. Your 18 to 20 inches of wire is going to be good for a ring up to about a 9. It's going to be overkill for a size 5. This is good for a ring about an 8 to a 9 in size. And that'll give you extra wire for your wrapping, some waste, but this is going to be definitely for a large ring. So for this wrap, I chose this piece of fluorite. I've got a good flat side. I've got actually real good flat sides to work with, where I can use that as the base of the ring, and then do my other wraps around it to hold it into place. That is kind of like your rule of thumb. It's easier to work with a flat piece, and the way to test it is, will it sit on your finger? Plus, I think these really big ones make a better statement piece. And you can hear Cooks. She's going to be up here in a minute. She comes. So this piece is a little less than an inch. We're just a little over, or right at 3/4 of an inch. So that's why 18 to 20 inches, depending on the size of your stone. If you're going to use a bigger, thicker stone, you're going to need to adjust your length of your wire accordingly. But for this little 3/4 of an inch, we're going to have plenty with 18 to 20 inches of 18 gauge wire. Cooks is in an absolute panic to get over here because I'm recording. What are you doing, girl? Don't you fall off that. She's got her feet in every one of my tubs. Here she comes. Oh, jeez. Hey, girl. Yup. There she is. Stop. You can't. There's not room on my workbench. So rule of thumb is your ring, if you want an 8.5, move it up to a 9.5 on your mandrel. It's marked for size, because once you're done with your wrapping, your ring is going to reduce about a size from the wrapping. The other thing too is, if you mess up and only do about a half a size, you can actually use a little hammer, and you can tap it, and you can add about a half a size to your ring. So I'm going to start my ring at about a 9.5, and I'm going to straighten out my wire. And I'm going to lay the midpoint of the wire about a 9.5. And I'm going to push the wire to the back of the mandrel, and then up around to the front. Easy peasy. And I don't crisscross them on the back. I let them lay flat, because that's the bottom of your ring, so you want that to be nice and flat. Then, to make a base for my stone, I'm going to pull this a little tighter. So now I've wrapped my wire around my mandrel, and not to crisscross them, because that's going to be the bottom, not to crisscross them. And so now I'm going to take the top wire down, and I'm going to take the bottom wire up and make the start of a spiral. I'm only going to use one wire to spiral to make the base for my stone to sit on. So I'm going to put my finger here just to hold it in place and start my spiral. I'm going to come around and I'm going to go underneath the bottom wire, using my finger as a guide to keep that flat. And I'm going to come around one more time and not let them lay on each other. Back around, pointing to the top. And I've got this little spiral base here to put my stone on. So now, let's put our stone on. Do I want it to go sideways? Do I want it to go up and down? Which way do I want to go? And so I'm going to use this. You can see where it's been cut. That's where the saw blade went across here. And then you've got a more natural side. So I'm going to put where it's been cut on the bottom. And I'm going to put it, I guess I would call that long ways. And I'm going to start basically just a simple wrap around the top. I'm going to bring the bottom wire up. I'm going to bring the top wire down. And that's just to start my wrap. Now I'm going to take it off the mandrel. And I'm going to work with it off the mandrel. What I want to do is keep my stone as flat as possible on my little spiral that I made. And then I'm holding it in place. I've got it centered on my spiral, and then with really no rhyme or reason, only just to make sure that I keep the stone in place, am I going to go back under the base of the spiral into the ring itself and come back around, go up over the top, and then do the same on this side. I'm going to go back under the base into the ring, hold my stone, and pull it into place. So really, no rhyme or reason. I'm just putting the wire around the ring to hold that stone on that little spiral. And I can position it a little more, because I got a little off center, but I don't care, because that's kind of the fun with these little kind of freestyle organic rings. I'm going to pull my right wire under the stone and then back into down into the ring, because I'm going to start to wrap down the side of the ring. And here's where my pliers come in, so I can get a good tight wrap. So I'm going to start my wrap, bringing the wire around, and helping it along with my pliers. And as I'm doing so, I'm making sure that I keep these wires from crossing each other. That's about 3 wraps. That's good. And I'm going to give it a good snip at the base. Turn my ring over, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go up into the ring, using my pliers to pull it really tight and pull it up and around to make that coil. And basically I'm going to make a coil down the side of the ring, about 3 or 4 coils. And watching these so they don't twist. And then just snip it off at the base. There we go. So you can see that's all I had left over of that 18 inches. Now it's a matter of forming the anchor. So there's the tail of my wire. Just going to use my pliers to mash that into place. Tighten up the coil. I don't want that to scratch me, so I'm going to keep mashing it into place. Then feel it. It's pretty smooth. I'm going to do the same to the other side. There's my end of my wire. Mash it into place. Pretty smooth. So now I have just these wraps on this stone. That's really secure, but I'm going to anchor it. That's where the fun comes in, because that's where all your little twists and your design comes into your ring. So you can see that it doesn't lie flush with the stone, and I need that so I can make twists on this wire to anchor it onto the stone. So I'm going to start on the top on this one. I'm going to grip my wire and I'm going to do a 1/4 of a turn to the left. And then I'm going to skip over one and I'm going to do a 1/4 of a turn to my right. And then I'm going to come back to this one and I'm going to do a 1/4 of a turn to my right. And I'm going to go then to this one and I'm going to do a 1/4 of a turn to my left. So now I've moved those wires around a good bit. That stone is still in there. So now this is just how do you want to make the wire look on your stone. I still have a big gap here. I want to press that gap in, so I'm going to anchor that by turning a 1/4 of a turn and taking out the slack in that wire, and that's going to put it right flush with the stone. See that? I'm going to turn the stone over, and I have a gap here, and I'm going to go in the opposite direction, doing a 1/4 turn to the right, and now it's flush with the stone. And then the same here. It's like the stone's trying to push out, so I'm going to push this wire back around the stone. And I'm going to do that by taking the end of the stone, or the end of the wire, and doing a 1/4 of a turn. Now I just pulled that wire in to where it's not off the edge of the stone. Same here. I've got a pretty good gap here, so I'm going to do a 1/4 of a turn underneath to bring that wire gap flush with the stone. And you can use the side of your pliers to mash it flat. That is not going anywhere. Then I'm just going to, just with my fingers, fix the underside of the ring a little bit. So we started at a 9.5. I'm going to put it back on the mandrel. And we are now an 8, if you can see that. So that's how much you lose from here to here when you're doing all of your wraps. Can I get an 8 on? Yeah, I can. So there's my fluorite funky statement piece ring That's very secure, very fun, and we made that in just a few minutes. Thanks for hanging out and for making a ring with me. And remember, be peaceful, be kind. It's important. I'll talk to you soon. I didn't hit you, did I, Cooks? Oh, did I break anything? Dadgummit.